Hi there, welcome to the In Noah Presgrove case. Got some breaking news to share with you on the sideline in regard to an update of Caleb Newton that was recently arrested because of driving without a license, or it's been revoked. I'm going to share with you some small little court document paper which goes into detail about it and the consequences from it, and also a new photo that's emerged, whoever it was taken by, which shows Caleb, I believe, leaving jail or walking away as a free person at this moment in time. Whilst it's not directly related to the In Noah Presgrove case, there is that feeling of, well, if he's been apprehended and being held somewhere in jail, then maybe they could start getting the ball rolling, considering that Caleb is a defendant as part of the wrongful death lawsuit with the estate of Noah Nichols, Noah Presgrove's family, and so on. They feel that Caleb, as well as other named individuals, have a responsibility in Noah's death. More so the focus being that Caleb allowing and giving permission for Noah Presgrove to ride the side-by-side, which ultimately ended up rolling over and drunk driving too. If any injuries were caused from that, such as like how it's already been suggested before, about an internal bleed, unknown to him, unknown to others, and then slowly dying as time passes by, then being finished off in other ways, such as with the highway. I've done videos explaining already about that, but there could be responsibility linking to Caleb. But the problem is, at least from what Caden Pressey has stated as a witness, when Caden was there, Caleb Newton was nowhere to be seen on site at the property. So around the critical times and moments of when Noah Presgrove was getting in the side-by-side, when Noah was walking away, Caleb was nowhere to be seen. Yes, you could put the argument across as in Caleb may not have been at the party, but he may have passed on by at the time of when Noah may have been walking away. For what reason? For what motive? Who knows? But it's just adding in those other possibilities. But beside that, if Caleb wasn't there and Caleb was elsewhere, how could he give Noah permission? Verbal permission over the phone? I don't think Noah Presgrove would be calling Jack's father up saying, hey, can I use your ride? Can I use Jack's ride? I mean, who does it even belong to? Many people have said it belongs to Jack, so why would the responsibility fall on Caleb then? Unless Caleb originally bought it in his name and then handed it to Jack, maybe. But if on the sideline, the side-by-side rollover didn't really mean anything, didn't cause Noah's death, didn't cause any major problems, then it's its own separate thing, right? Maybe it could link into responsibilities elsewhere, but at the end of the day, as a defendant, what's happened since? Previously, and it was last night, I believe, we looked at the new court documents to do with Val Patrol Limited Liability Company in association, or to do with Napoli's convenience store, the one in Marlow, make sure I get the correct word this time, Marlow, Oklahoma, which is a bit further away north from where Jack Newton would be or was living at the time. To be going in that direction, to be getting alcohol from there, to then go down to the party and supply. Kind of interesting. On what day, what time, never really given. That's unfortunate. Any CCTV footage, we're not seeing that public, but Val Patrol did their response and answered, and the court documents are available. I have analysed it to some extent and compared and contrasted it to the wrongful death lawsuit. If you'd like to check more of that out, you'll be able to find that video, as well as many others, in the full playlist of the case, located top right corner where the I symbol is up there. So make sure to check it out when you've got time. And welcome to those that are currently here during the live premiere. Share your thoughts and reactions in the chat box on the right side of the screen, and make sure to drop a comment down below and let me know your thoughts of the situation. And if you want to support the channel, be sure to check out the pinned message where the PayPal link is and channel membership. In terms of the order of how we'll do things today, I'm going to get straight into the post. Credit to Michael Facecas. Acknowledge that, read it, just understand it, look at the photo, and then I'll probably just catch up on a few little comments in recent time. The engagement has been a lot quieter recently, but there might only be so much, to talk about. But the odd comment here and there, which is to do with Caleb. So I thought we'll link it all together today because of the theme. Without further ado, let's begin. Here we go. I'll zoom in just so it's a bit easier for you to read. Now, I did briefly highlight it in last night's video, but not in much depth because the material wasn't present, but now it is. It'll be interesting to see how well it compares to my overall analysis at the time and rough predictions. It reads, in the District Court of the 5th Judicial District, the state of Oklahoma citing in and for Stephens County, state of Oklahoma plaintiff versus Caleb Kent Newton, date of birth February 1984. Filed district August 18th, 2025, very recent, by Melody Harper. I believe I've seen that name before. Information 4, count 1, driving with license cancelled, suspended, revoked. So when it has the slashes, does it mean either cancelled, suspended, or revoked? A misdemeanor. In terms of the reasoning behind why it was cancelled or suspended, revoked, that appears to be unknown of. Was it down to reckless driving? Was it down to drunk driving previously? Does it have any correlation or similarity to the Noah Presgrove case? Some people could wonder. State of Oklahoma, County of Stephens. Jason M. Hicks, the undersigned district attorney of said county, in the name and by the authority of the state of Oklahoma, give information that in said county of Stephens and in the state of Oklahoma, Caleb Kent Newton did then and there unlawfully, willfully, knowingly and wrongfully commit the crime of, count 1, driving with license cancelled, suspended, revoked, misdemeanor, on or about the 15th day of August, very recent, by operating a 4-door pickup truck bearing Oklahoma, tag, with the road given 2770 Road, north of 1800 Road, City of Duncan, whilst the defendant's license to drive a motor vehicle was suspended by Oklahoma Department of Public Safety. So with it being suspended for a serious reason for public safety, could imply that maybe Caleb was driving recklessly previously, driving drunk, putting people in harm's way, a danger to people, dangerous in a vehicle, recklessness. It's got those themes and characteristics of what could have happened to Noah Presgrove in some way. Not saying that, the act of driving a vehicle to kill Noah with intent, but accidental recklessness, but with other events happening after or before to cause all the injuries in total, if you've looked at my previous videos. This crime is punishable by a fine of not less than $100 and not more than $500, or by imprisonment for not more than 1 year, or by both such fine and imprisonment. So depending on the situation, you could be fined and you could also spend time in prison. But what was the true outcome at the end of it? Just down below it says, witnesses endorsed for the state of Oklahoma, presenting arresting officer Dylan Earnhardt, and so on. If we move here, this is one by Michael Facecast 19 hours ago now. The update on Caleb Newton, zoom in up here. Caleb Newton was released from jail today. Observers noted that he appeared healthy, walking normally without bruises or signs of injury. Now, why would there be any consideration of possible injuries? If Caleb was simply driving and got caught because his license has been suspended, he's not allowed to be driving, so he gets in trouble. There's not any car crashes, there's no trouble there. But in terms of what may have happened before that for the license to be suspended, was there an accident at some point? And because it's mentioned here that there's no sign of injury, then it could imply it wasn't down to a crash, it was down to something else. All comes down to the timing of it all then. The big question now, did Noah Presgrove's legal team use this moment to have him officially served with the lawsuit? If so, today could mark the start of the 20-day clock for him to respond in court. Now, if what's been mentioned here is similar to Val Patrol, yeah, that could be interesting. What would the response by Caleb be? How would he answer? Would it be similar as in not much comments made, insufficient response, insufficient information, not admitting, not denying, and so on? Would it be very similar to Val Patrol's response or drastically different? We'll be watching closely to see what happens next. Justice moves slowly, but every step matters. And down below, which is very interesting, is a photo taken, which appears to be maybe somebody, I think there's maybe a reflection on the window, could be wrong, so a person parked up in a car. I don't know who took this photo, but someone did. If it's of the jail area where Caleb has been released and is walking out, somebody was waiting outside to get a snapshot photo. Interesting media coverage, goes a long way. Something like this, considering that they're a defendant in the Noah Presgrove case, whilst this is unrelated at the moment, we've not really seen, or at least me, not seen any true media coverage by the news articles, and you thought they'd be milking it, they'd be jumping on it, as in, look, ooh, we've got a defendant here to do with the case, and have also been getting in trouble recently. That could mean something, right? Well, it happened with the Dylan Rounds case, Brenner, on unrelated charges. That was talked about so much and covered so much in the early days, but it's not in this case. Interesting, very. So who is who in this shot, this photo? So they're walking away. Likely on the left is Rosa Newton, the wife or girlfriend to Caleb. And then on the right in the white shirt is Caleb Newton himself. Was Jack Newton present or busy elsewhere, maybe with Carter Combs? Regardless, it's just interesting to see some real life footage of said individuals out and about, but also when it's linked with crime related stuff. So you let me know your thoughts there. Body language we can't really analyse from this. Yeah, so I just wanted to give you a bit of perspective there and an update. So because the person has been released, I guess they had to pay a fine, and that was basically it, $100 to $500, and that's pretty much it. Interesting. Should they have been charged more? Should they have been held for just under a year in prison? Do you think they deserve that? Kind of hard to tell. I'd say you could measure it based on what was originally done in order for his license to be cancelled or suspended more so. If it was a really bad action then for it to be suspended and then he's broken it again, still driving, well then maybe more severe consequences are needed. But if it's something more small scale, yes, the person has to pay the price like anyone if you break laws and rules, but as some people going to have a bit of a slightly biased emotional outlook because they feel that this person, if they're getting away and being released from jail for breaking the law in regard to this, then likely the same could happen with the Noah Presgrove case. Or it's frustrating watching someone as a defendant linked and associated with Noah's death in some way, walking free on unrelated charges, but just the theme of walking about, getting away with it. But technically, they aren't really getting away with it if they had to pay a fine, unless people think that the legal system is a little too lenient towards some people. You let me know your thoughts there in the comments. Transitioning on to the YouTube comments section, down below we've got Spencer, and this will be the video that I did probably yesterday. Congratulations to Jack and Carter. My opinion, happy for both of you. That's in relation to Carter being pregnant, Jack being the father to it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then we got Brenda. Val Patrol's response is probably pretty standard in my opinion. John and Jane Doe will be names that come out of the depositions and or gathered through the process. I mean, if people were to guess, like you yourself, drop a comment down below, and who do you think the John, Jane Doe or Does could be? Unnamed individuals. And is there a reason for specific people not being named? Is there more of a magnetizing effect and focus and level of suspicion on them compared to the likes of Jack, Caleb, Carter, Avery, Steve Howard, Val Patrol, etc.? You let me know below. We got Glenn, big shout out to Glenn. We got Bro Heamed. Interesting. We'll get to that in just a second. Just acknowledge the final few here. We got Heidi Robinson. Thank you for this video. You're welcome. Welcome to the channel as well, Heidi. We got 42 South, late watching. Cheers from Tasmania, Australia. Crikey, mate. Welcome to the channel. I've probably seen you already though on my channel, so that's all good. And then, last but not least, let's acknowledge her. They say, let's get past the notion that this was not a murder. Okay, this was not a murder. It 100% was a murder. Well, to be honest, it's still an opinion. You can be confident and you can say it's 100% a murder, but does the official autopsy report state and confirm and conclude that it is a murder? Not at this moment in time and not since. Do the police? No. The authorities? No. People on the outside may think of it as a murder, and some people could be right, but officially it's just not. So officially, because it's open for interpretation and it's deemed as unknown, it means the general public have the right to remain open to interpretation and switch and change and think differently, back and forth, or just stick with one concept. It's as simple as, you think it's murder? Fine, fair enough, that's okay. But other people will disagree, and that's it. But as we know, it's not that simple because people throw the toys out the pram. Anyway, let's continue. The damage to Noah's body simply could not have been accidental when scrutinising the nature and totality of the wounds. The focus must be on Jack Newton and, to a lesser degree, Caleb Newton, who was principal in the immediate cover-up. Where is your evidence, your hard evidence that an immediate cover-up took place and Caleb and Jack being responsible? It sounds like you're very confident in what you say here, as if you've seen it yourself. You know direct. If it's an opinion, make sure it's worded as one, because it doesn't come across like that. The second that I read that claim from Jack, that and then we cried and hugged and told each other how much we meant to each other, the jig is up. These are cowboys, jocks, hyper-masculine guys. Really? No way did that happen. This was likely over that nasty clam and or her sister, Avery or Carter. Females love to start drama, love to try and make their boyfriends defend them. I'll bet she started some BS to see two guys fight over her. It just so happened that one of those guys is a sociopath. Is that an official statement as a sociopath? Have they been clinically diagnosed as a sociopath? In terms of the theme of girl drama, we can briefly analyse that right now. Based off the language and wording by that comment, some bold points mentioned there. In terms of the reference of girls being responsible, women being responsible for starting drama, the be-all and end-all, that could be a bit of a reach, as in the reality is anyone can be capable of starting drama, both males and females of all age ranges. Specifically at that party, is it easy to know who started drama and who didn't? Well, if you refer to the tense and aggressive argument, pushing and shoving supposedly, between Noah Presgrove and best friend Jack Newton, Saturday night, Sunday morning, past midnight, around that time. Yes, it's to do with girl trouble, that, but it was the action, supposedly, of Jack going behind Noah's back and flirting with Noah's girlfriend. Now, did Noah's girlfriend go along with it and flirt back with Jack, or was it one-sided? Was it 50-50, or was it one way? And how did Noah Presgrove find out about it? Did Noah's girlfriend reach out to Noah and say, hey, Jack tried flirting with me, to show a sign of loyalty, or what? Very interesting situation, that particular aspect. But then when it came to the bedroom debacle and the argument with Avery yelling at Noah and probably linking on with the verbal fight, as mentioned in the wrongful death lawsuit, between Jack, Avery versus Noah, cross of different genders, female and male, it's not just one way. That Carter and Colton, Saturday, talking together, simple. And Jack got petty over it from what Colton had said and told Colton you can't come back the next day. Girl trouble again, jealousy, feelings of insecurity, but that's more so on the male side, not the female side, unless, as that person was commenting, was suggesting that these girls at the party were purposely putting themselves in positions to sabotage males and certain relationships and get in the way, get in between of things. But then with Noah Presgrove actually being in a relationship with someone that wasn't at the party, supposedly, who was the one to initiate the flirting then? Was it Jack towards Noah's girlfriend, or was it Noah's girlfriend initiated towards Jack? Which way round was that? So I don't think it's going to be all one-sided, and just in general, in reality, in life, the aspect of people starting drama, getting caught up in drama, it applies to both genders. It's not just one-sided. Now, certain isolated examples, what could be supported though, not quite related to the case, but within the community. You had that problematic French female student from Paris, France, known as Myriam, who was problematic on my channel in the end, and they went elsewhere, downgraded to another place. And what they did say was in the past that they themselves were in a relationship with a guy, but kind of felt not getting much attention. So Myriam said that she would brag and talk about how other guys want her and compliment her and so on. This was all said by her in a live public chat. And then it would make the boyfriend feel jealous and insecure and gain a reaction. So instead of a female just confronting the male, providing there's no controlling nature, instead of actually communicating with the other half and say, hey, there's a problem here, can we resolve it? Can it be sorted out? Because if it means that much, you will make an effort or you'll try to communicate. If you're on the receiving end and you've got a problem with the other half, you make it clear, providing you're able and safe to do so, right? But in a case like that, Myriam did not, and instead played mind games, psychological mind games. Yeah. So the person that was commenting before, it links to that aspect, starting drama, getting in the middle of stuff, talk about other guys to get a reaction out of the current partner. It's twisted. It can cause psychological damage depending on the nature, depending on the severity. Maybe the original aspect could be, well, I'm on the receiving end. I'm the one being mistreated. I'm the one being ignored. I'm not receiving enough love. So it's justified behind my actions. But is it the right way to go? Is it the appropriate way? Probably not. Why not just communicate? If you start having to play mind games and psychological tactics just to get a response out of the other half, you got to play certain methods and chessboard games to be able to benefit in some way or to get someone to change, then it's not natural. And if it's not natural, is the relationship natural in the first place? Join me next time as Dr. Af opens the doors for the therapy sessions. But beside that, the other example, and it's on a more personal scale, so I'm going to use myself. Whoa, what's going on here? So when it comes to the Noah Presgrove case, the community aspect, when it came to Vanessa Salazar, that liked me in a way, but the problem was, which was a red flag, is that they would get caught up in drama, constant squabbles, supposedly always on the receiving end and getting attacked verbally and this and that. And then I would be asked a slight demand of back me up, do this and do that, make a video here, make a video there. Did I run around and say, yes, mistress, whatever you say? No. Because the situation with Vanessa Salazar, as nice as they were towards me, in terms of outwards towards other people, or more so onto them, there seemed to be conflict and arguments and drama and getting attacked and insults and false claims and everything. And I, you know, I'm somewhat respected in a way. I'm an established content creator, I've got experience, and now I'm having to, lower my levels down to something else, which I don't normally engage with. It's not my style, but I'm supposed to support or defend someone. Why? Because of some kind of a emotional theme, emotional manipulation or blackmail, depending on how it's looked upon. And then if it's not done, then one could say, why are you not defending me? Do you not care about me? And it's like, whoa, you know, within a case, within a community, got to be careful, very careful, because if not, it all comes undone. When I've always talked about remaining open, giving multiple perspectives, not having an emotional connection within the case, not being overly emotional, because if connected within the case emotionally, it can damage your thought process. It can cause issues with more so tunnel vision, right? So with Vanessa Salazar, if I did constantly defend them and constantly make response videos and backing them up, I'd be discrediting myself, tarnishing my brand, and losing sight of the case as well. So you could say a person of the opposite gender kind of getting in the middle of things and then slowing stuff down and directing focus elsewhere, but not in the right way. So I sensed that. I just used instinct, and I thought, it's not quite fair, the position that I'm being put in. So, you know, I had to, well, I just acknowledged it within and continued on with the case, right? But it doesn't have to be with the opposite gender. It can be people of the same gender as you, like Justin Roy in the early days, constantly barking, saying, back me up, defend me, do something, do a post, upload it, share the context, spread awareness. A few minutes later, the post has been deleted or the messages have been retracted, and I'm expected to use it when it's invisible. Yeah, unusual. You got to be careful that when you're in the presence of other people, they don't drag you down with their own weight. That if they do show a level of respect and understanding, they're not going to get in the way of you, but, you know, there's going to be a level of communication. So with that being in mind, anyone at the party and any themes of girl trouble caused by males that can't control themselves or act appropriately, or girl trouble caused by one girl over another, almost like acting as a seed to plant doubt into another person or another relationship and then start a fight, an internal conflict. What's the deal there? But in terms of the events, what we're seeing, guys fighting over girls. Were any of the girls responsible for putting the guys in those positions in the first place, or is that just an excuse? That when Noah Presgrove basically said could I sleep in Avery's bed and was rejected, then Noah supposedly called her an insult, and then Avery yelled back or so. Well, just based on that, it is what it is. You know, you say something to someone, they're going to give you a piece of their mind. Did you start it? And it just seems like maybe the males started it more than the females did at the party. At the end of the day, both can be as bad as each other. It just depends your outlook. I think more so the theme of drama or conflict is quite ironic to say in regard to the case, when more so it's built up within the community by the general public. There tends to always be more drama in the community for the case than actually the people within the case. People at times within the case, victims' family versus those that could be responsible, there's less drama there compared to just people in the general public, where it's like an open zoo and it's very feral and it's all over the place. Says a lot. Anyway, with that being in mind, do I think that Jack and Caleb are responsible for an immediate cover-up? In what way exactly? What, moving the body from one place to another? And at what point would Caleb have shown up? What, Jack made a call to Caleb, hey, could you help me? Where would it have taken place, and where would Jack have been waiting with Noah's body then, if that's the case? Yes, the person was stating it almost as a fact. I'm wording it as a theory or an idea. If it did happen, how likely is it? And who else would have been about to possibly witness it? Did Jack not want to reach out to anyone else at the party? If Jack had contacted Caleb before 5:53, much earlier on, as in, could you come on down and help me out? You know, wouldn't a phone call, a phone log, some kind of, it could be traced or tracked in some way, unless there was a burner phone used. But would you expect to have a burner phone with you at a party when your original intent wasn't to kill Noah and it just happened on the spot? Does make you think, depending on the situation. I don't know if some people are influenced by this staging, as in just because there was that rumour or mention of Caleb with one of Noah's teeth in his pocket, which turned out to not be in the pocket but was actually on the floor, supposedly. And Caleb picked it up and said, hey, have you seen this? Which wouldn't be too far of a surprise when you got someone like Jack that decided to pick up the white shorts in the middle of the road either to get the attention of the police or to move it themselves because no one else was and didn't want the evidence to be harmed. And technically, maybe there's a level of entitlement because of, even though it's at a crime scene, with it being your own clothing, you might have felt, you know what, they're mine, I'm going to move them. You know, depends how you look at it. So, you let me know your comments down below. Do you think Jack and Caleb are directly responsible or just for the cover-up aspect? Are you surprised by the outcome of Caleb in terms of the consequence for that? Even though it's not related to the case, due to the consequence, kind of a slap on the wrist in a way. Is that going to follow with other said defendants, related or unrelated to the case of Noah Presgrove? And will it link on or lead to any follow-ups, like with how Val Patrol responded in court or within the documents? And I wonder how Noah Presgrove's family feel about the situation with Caleb, if they think that it's relevant or not. With that being in mind, hopefully you enjoyed the video. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Goodbye. Good night for now.